very good day to you. Thank you so much for finding time to join us today on another interesting episode of The Medley Show. I'm always excited when I get to spend a whole hour with you, bringing you great content and, of course, very, very interesting conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about something very, very interesting. We're going to be talking post-Olympics. Yes, the Olympics started in July and ended a few days ago, and a lot happened in the space of 3 weeks, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Of course, Team Nigeria was represented in about 11 games, but sadly, we came back with no medal. We're still excited that the Tigress did make us proud, but we want to talk about what really happened, why we have no medals, why we're now giving excuses for what we could have been rejoicing about. This and much more is what we're going to be talking about today on The Medley Show. And of course, you're going to be meeting my guest who will be throwing more light on all that we'll be conversing about today. My name is Tochi. Welcome again to the show. So let's start you off with an overview of the entire game. All that happened in the past 3 weeks. Let's bring you an overview of Team Nigeria's participation in all the games. And when we come back, we'll get to talk about it. Stay with us.
The Medley Show. The Medley Show.
The Medley Show.
This year, Nigeria participated in more sports than in previous editions, including new additions like cycling and swimming. Despite competing in 12 major events, only 6 athletes made it to the finals of their respective sports, and unfortunately, none secured the medal. In the canoeing event, Ayomide Bello and Beauty Otudeo finished 5th in the final round. Samuel Ogazi placed 7th in the 400 meters track event, while Esebrume, Nigeria's highest placed athlete in the long jump, finished 5th. Favour Ofili, who placed 6th in the 200 meters, faced emotional turmoil after not being registered for the 100 meters by Nigerian sports officials. Our strongest hope for a medal, Toby Amusan, came 3rd in the semi-finals and did not qualify for the finals. The Olympics also highlighted issues within Nigerian sports bodies, with athletes receiving different sets of jerseys from the Ministry of Sports and the Nigerian Olympic Committee. There are rumors that officials took their spouses for a vacation in Paris instead of focusing on the athletes. Athletes have also complained about poor training facilities, outdated equipment, and inadequate preparation time, despite 9 billion naira being allocated for their preparation. It is worth noting that a female hammer thrower who was prevented from participating in Tokyo 2020 due to an unverifiable doping test is now an Olympic silver medalist for the USA. Nigerian sports officials need to step up their game, or stars like Favour Ofili and Samuel Ogazi might seek to represent other countries to achieve their Olympic dreams.
The Medley Show. The Medley Show.
The Medley Show. Welcome back. That was an overview, just short reports on all that went down at the Olympics as regarding Team Nigeria. Now, I have some people in the studio who will be telling us why what happened. Yeah, so first of all, I have architect JJ Oyekale in the studio. He's a sports analyst. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Architects, are you here to talk sports? I mean, what's going on?
I'm talking sport constructively.
Constructively. I like that part. Okay, next I have Kingsley Agbonoga. He's the MD of DK Sports. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
So I don't even need to ask. I know you both followed the Olympics from start to finish. What happened? We participated in 12 games. We had about 82 athletes and not a single goal. Let me start with you, JJ. What do you think happened?
Yeah, basically, I have been making emphasis about preparation, you understand. I do say one thing that's going by 6P theories. Proper preparation prevent poor performance.
Right.
And if you look at what happened, it's not new, because we have been falling victim of the same
thing every time.
Every time. As a matter of fact, I can tell you the last 2 Olympics that we actually won medal, one was even accidental. It wasn't really planned for. Yes. After the debacle in London 2012, in Rio, in 2016, it was Samson Siasia's team, that's the under-23 team, that won a bronze medal, the only bronze medal. This was a team that was not actually well taken care of. At a point in time, they were abandoned in America where they had their camp.
Okay, so I keep hearing this not taken care of. Has there ever been any Olympics we attended or we participated in where Team Nigeria was properly taken care of?
Yeah. In those days, when the structures were right, if you look from Los Angeles in 1984 to Seoul 88, Barcelona 92, before the climax at Atlanta 96, there was a progression. And the administration of sports was really, administered by some of the best heads we have then, the likes of Dr. Amos Adamu and a couple of others. We have a progression of our athletes, and you can actually predict even before they go for the Olympics that these athletes can perform. And that has been the process that produced the likes of Mary Onyali, Faliliat Ogunkoya, the Ezenwa brothers, Olakpade Adenikan, the late Kayode Oluyemi, Chidi Imo, the list goes on, Fatima Yusuf, Okpara Thompson, all of them. This was the process. As a matter of fact, I was telling people, if you follow the Nigerian grassroots very well, in those days, we invest in coaches, and coaches develop athletes. It will shock you to know that Mary Onyali, that we know as a sprinter, actually started as a quarter miler.
Okay.
And Falilia Togokoya actually started as a sprinter. It was coaches that discovered them, and they swap.
I'm glad you mentioned this grassroots thing, because I was going to talk about it. But before I get to ask that question, let me ask you, Kingsley. So he's been going on and on about preparation. First of all, you're going to tell me what you think happened. He said his own issue with it is that we were not properly prepared. Prepared in the sense of finances or...
even facilities. We don't have facilities.
Okay. So what do you think happened?
Okay, I've always said it that we have the wrong pegs in the wrong holes. Now, politically, who prepares the team? From the ministry, from the federation, you see, from the NOC. See, we need to identify the roles of each of these body, from the NOC to the ministry to the federations. So who prepares them? We talked about coaches. Who raises the coaches? Who does the coaches belong to? Do they belong to the federation? Do they belong to the ministry? So how do they get prepared? We all talk about 12 billion or 9 billion being allotted to for the Olympics. At what point was it allotted? We have full four years to prepare for the Olympics. So those 4 years, how prepared were they? And don't also forget, this minister came up and told us that we will surpass the 5th of 1996, right? Now, what have we gotten? Of course, we didn't even go near that. Now, it's not just end in talking, it's in doing, right? So all this one culminates into who prepares the athletes for the Olympics. Until we find this out, we are going to keep having all over again what we have now, if not even worse.
It's not worse.
Yes. Now, from your report you took, there are a lot of issues surrounding the Olympics. Officials picking up their relatives to go do holiday, you know.
Was that for real?
Yeah, sure. Sure, I'm serious. It's a serious matter. Pressmen that are supposed to go for the Olympics, they are not picked. The officials picked their relative. You know, all these things.
Okay, yeah, but all that is the relatives.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the relatives. We're talking about the athletes. So we're talking preparation now. Now, the next Olympics is in 4 years. So are you saying that we need to start preparing the moment it is announced? We need to start preparing for the next Olympics, which is what I see other countries do. So how does it not work that the athletes start preparing the moment to start? Because the thing is, so many of them are participating in so many other sports outside the country. They don't wait till Olympics to do what they do. I mean, if you're a sprinter, you don't just sit down until 4 years before you start running. So what about the athletes actually preparing themselves for what? Because I've always asked this question. It's not just about the country; it's also about you. We're going to say, oh, Toby Amusan got the gold medal. So it's not just the country. So if the country doesn't prepare them, my personal thoughts, is it that they do not prepare themselves?
Well, basically, I think it is, you are looking at it from a layman's perspective. Yeah. But
I agree.
See,
that's why I said my personal thoughts.
Professionally,
yeah.
To even first of all answer one of the questions he raised, ideally, it is the Nigerian Olympic Committee that is saddled with the responsibility of preparing athletes for Olympics.
When is that committee usually set up?
It is a running committee.
Oh, it's a running committee.
It's supposed to run through.
It's not just a committee. There is a body called the Nigerian Olympic Committee that has a head. That's Abu Gumel.
Yeah.
They have a structure. You see, they are the one that controls all the federations. Do you understand? And elections, they do elections into the federation.
Right.
Do you understand? So let me not cut him short so that I can continue.
Okay, go ahead,
okay.
JJ.
So they are supposed to be the one to, when there is a problem, before you begin to lay faults, you pick from the Olympic Committee before you come to the federation.
Right.
So that is that about that. Then in terms of preparing for a competition, you see, to prepare an Olympiad for a podium finish, if you look at it statistically, it's supposed to take 6 years.
Okay.
So meaning that even before one Olympics, you are already preparing for
the next one.
It takes 6 solid years of you preparing an Olympiad for podium finish.
Okay.
So how do you go about this? Number one is the athlete that you talk about. Number two is the federation.
Right.
And number three is now the ministry supervising the federation. Before you come to number four, which is the federal government. Each of them have their roles to play. As we talk now in Nigeria, if you must really, you see, let me put it this way. Sport is now a very big industry. And for you to succeed in sports, you must invest in sports. And one of the places you must invest is your facilities. So for you to prepare an Olympiad, you must invest in your facility. Your facility must be right, because when they get to the Olympics, they are, exposed to modern and, technology improves every day.
Right.
So they are exposed to new technology every time and new rules every time. So we must invest in facility first. Number two is that you must make funds available all round, not at the eve of Olympics or any major competition. Preparation starts after the Olympics.
Last Olympic, yeah.
That is when the preparation starts. On individual basis, you must keep yourself fit. Then for the federation and for the ministry is to ensure that they engage this athlete in as many programs as possible. And at interval, they organize programs in Nigeria too. That is what can even attract sponsors.
Okay.
And by the time you do proper investment, it becomes a full conveyor belt of employment generation, even not only for the athlete, but it benefits the country, because the industry will have the sports psychologist, the sports doctor, the architects, the engineers, everybody that is involved in building and maintaining the facility, even to the cleaners, to the food vendors, and everybody.
I'm glad you mentioned facility, because when I saw that we're participating in cycling, I was wondering where he trained. I don't think we...
Because there's another story that came out today that the velodrome is not available for them to train, because it's always being used for other money-making activity by the stadium authority. Well, that's just by the way.
Because I don't completely agree with that, but I want to ask, there was a surprising number of athletes of Nigerian descent that were that participated and won medals for several other countries.
Okay, so there's a way it works,
Okay.
right? From where he stopped. Now, we talked about facility. Well, that's very important. But you see, most of those athletes that you see went into scholarship for various either high school and especially colleges in America. I can tell you that for free.
The
Most of-
weightlifter who participated in the last Olympics and didn't win and then won for America.
No, that was hammer throw.
Okay, yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Most of them that you see, we have a lot of scholarship right now that a lot of Nigerians are enjoying in America.
Because they're not available here.
So we
You don't ask them not to go.
So if we have to start it from the basics that we're talking about, we have to inculcate that into even our educational system. Where, because my school, for example, I got into sports list in getting admission into Ahmadu Bello University because of I was playing basketball. The coach made a provision for me. Now, it's not just only to get admission. As a student, you are supposed to be paid as an athlete and put on a particular CGPA because you will have to be serious with your academics and be serious with sports. So none of these will you drop. If you drop from your CGPA, they will withdraw you from sports. You won't enjoy that benefit anymore. So in starting from there, the ministry and the whole educational system has to look into this one and see that, because if I'm playing basketball at 16, I'm just learning how to play basketball, I can't go pro anymore.
If you're just learning,
If
yes,
I'm just
that's true,
learning
yes.
at 16, I can't play pro. It's going to be very difficult to go pro. I have to start it at 10, 9. You know, this talent must have been nurtured, observed. Then the parents too are saying, I want my child to have scholarship to go to this school, that school.
Which is what part of what I wanted to, you did mention grassroots sports, because I noticed there's a serious debt in that area. When I was growing up, we used to have things that they called Principal's Corps, the state's scholarship for students. Because I grew up in Jos, you have little children who didn't even have shoes, but because they were very good at the sports, they were picked up, and then lots of them. You also see how talents like that are sourced for outside the country. We don't have things like that anymore. What do you think is the reason why there's a death in that area? Because, like you mentioned, Mary Nelly was picked like that. If we still had that, maybe we would have had athletes that would be winning medals other than the ones like, what's her name? The lady who was, the girl, okay, I'm going to mention her later. Favor Philly, we'll talk about her later. Okay. But let's talk about this for now. Yeah. Why do you think there's a death in grassroots selection for sports?
Well, a lot of factors are responsible, including parents. This is not only about government, including
parents don't let their children participate in sports?
No, I will get to how it includes parents. Because if you look at it in the contemporary Nigerian society now, public school is almost going out of fashion. All you have is private schools. Unfortunately, go around the municipal now, most state capitals, private school, you see a 2-bedroom flat, 3-bedroom flat, all you see, it's a private school.
No, but it doesn't change the fact that there are people in the government schools, and the number in the government schools are still more.
It is not only in government school that you have talents.
But you did mention that there's nobody there.
No, where I'm going at is that
the sports takes a lot. Not just, you see, because you can as well say most people in government school right now, they are not as bright as those in private schools. That's the truth.
That's just academically.
No. Even intellectually, that's the truth. You find out because this one and this one don't match in all respect, except on a very few occasions where you have exceptional ones that maybe they can't do well that are in public schools. Now, even the public schools that we are talking about, do they have training facility? Though they have the size for the land, do they have the training facility? And like he said, for those in the private school, 1 bedroom, just a structure, no single place for sports. Do you understand? So how do we develop them? How do we identify them?
So is it a regulatory issue?
Yes, it's a regulatory issue. From the Ministry of Education to Ministry of Sport, there must be a collaboration. It is a must that every school, no matter how small, even a crèche, you must have a playground. It is a must. And in primary school, you must have at least some sort of sporting facilities. And that was why in those days, when we have the Headmasters' Cup for primary schools, the Principal's Cup for secondary schools, in the university you have the NUGA, in the Polytechnic you have the NIPOGA, in the colleges of education you have their own bodies. And all these are really well accounted for and documented in those days. But these days, maybe the last time they have a NUGA game was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. A generation would have passed, whereby the private universities are not even participating. Okay. And check the number of graduates we have in the private universities. So if the government can really go back and focus on the grassroots, I tell you, Nigeria with over 200 million citizens, we can actually amass up to 30 Olympic medals if we're actually serious. It's just a matter of starting the process, okay, whereby you identify talents. I was privileged to be part of the revived Principal's Cup in 2021.
Yeah. Revived?
Yes. Unfortunately, it couldn't continue again. Because at that Principal's Cup, we saw that things have changed. So it was expanded to 5 games, not only football as it used to be. Table tennis was included, athletics was included, badminton was included, right, and I think one other game, maybe basketball, so
which I think is a good
was included, which is really good, such that in secondary school you can identify these talents and nurture them. I noticed then, because it was the National Sport Festival came about a month after the Principal's Cup. I noticed the athlete that represented her school from Imo State also came with the festival team that represented Imo State to still run for them.
Oh, wow.
That is how you can spot talents and develop them. You can imagine if such is continued, how you will have developed your team. Again, the team that won the football event had 2 players that made the last Flying Eagles team,
right,
to the World Cup. I think the team owned by the former NFF president, in person of Sani Lulu. The football academy is somewhere in Karshi. The developmental process produced 2 players that made the Flying Eagles team. So you can imagine the product of just one small team. The Toby Amusan we talked about today and Ese Brume were products of the National Youth Games in 2015. So the making emphasis on the grassroots cannot be overemphasized. And we have a lot of multinationals in this country that you can, one way or the other, either induce them, either force them, either patronize them, or any way make them to invest in sport from the grassroots. Okay. In those days, you have beverage company invest in basketball. I had my childhood in Jos too, incidentally. I know what do happen in Rampam Stadium in those days, and you have athletes every day. You even have the those you call Greta, the Greta tomorrow that produce the like of Mikel Obi, Unsofo, Benedict Akwegu, and a whole lot of others. Okay. So if we must do that, if we must really get to that height, we must reinvest into the grassroots, and that includes from the government to the parents.
Okay. So thank you so much, JJ Kali. Like, we can't overemphasize how important it is to, invest in grassroots sports. Anyway, we take a quick break now and bring you something. You mentioned basketball. So I want to talk about something a bit exciting, which I like to call our only consolation from the Olympics. This is a spotlight on the Tigress. Watch it and we'll be right back.
The Medley Show. The Medley Show.
The Medley Show.
24 Paralympics. The Tigress has become a symbol of resilience, talent,
and excellence. In the past years, the Tigers has made notable marks in African basketball, winning multiple Afro-basketball titles and consistently representing Nigeria on the global stage. Their journey has been one of triumphs and challenges, but through it all, they have stayed true to their duty to showcase the best of Nigerian basketball.
The party is on in Nigeria. They are going to win their 4th consecutive FIBA Women's Afrobasket.
Getting into the quarterfinal. Right beside this great team is a visionary leader, and for the Tigers, Coach Reina Wakama was a driving force for the team. Known for her strategic brilliance and ability to inspire, the coach has been instrumental in shaping the Tigers into the powerhouse it is today. Coach Reina Wakama joined the team in June 2023 as the first female head coach and led them to win the 2023 Female Afro-Basketball in Rwanda.
So, once again, Nigeria at the top of the podium.
She brings a wealth of experience and a deep understanding of the game, and her ability to foster a winning mentality while nurturing individual talent has been key to the team's success.
On behalf of my team and my staff, we're honored to be able to represent Nigeria in the highest way. And we're happy that we can bring joy and bring a lot of passion and resiliency to our nation and just being a great example for those to come. And I know I'm the first woman, but I hope I'm not the last woman. And I hope everyone can see that we are capable of amazing things.
It's no wonder she was awarded the best coach at the 2024 Olympics in Paris, which is a great consolation for the team's effort in bringing home a medal. The Tigress has proven time and time again that they are a team of and leaving an unforgettable mark in the world of basketball.
The Medley Show. Medley Show.
I like to smile after watching that. I mean, like I said, our only consolation from the Olympics, they made history and got into the quarterfinals, even though it was short-lived, but then it was exciting to see. Anyway, this is still the Medley Show, and I still have Kingsley Agbonoga in the studio, but we're now being joined by Tony Asuko, who is a gymnastics instructor and a sports administrator. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
So I see you're smiling. I hope it's the Tigress that's making you smile.
Yeah, sure, because when you're given the opportunity to showcase what you have, so of course you definitely smile. So, but if you've been pulled down, you know, it took Wakama a whole lot of decades to be able to govern this team.
Okay, Kingsley, you are a basketballer. I don't know if you still play, even though you look like you still play.
For fun.
For fun, you still play for fun.
I played on last week Sunday.
Okay, so I want you to speak to the game, the kind of game that the Tigress played, and of course with the kind of inspiring coach that they have, Reina Wakama. Like, what are your thoughts on their game?
Well, let me first of all confess something. When Wakama first came for the Afro basketball, I never ever knew they were going to go far.
Okay.
Until they went to the Afro basketball and she won it
last year. Yeah.
You know, and well, maybe some little doubts going to the Olympics, and she set up a program and they went to the Olympics. You could see from the beginning to the end that she had her own strategy and she followed it through. Forget her age, that she's 32. You could see that she knows the basics of basketball and what to do at every time. Do you understand? You also notice at first that a lot of the internationals pulled out when they were going to Afro basketball because they wanted to have an open camp. But that was her style. She insisted they had an open camp. You know, they had in Lagos, they had in Abuja here. She picked her team and they went to Afro and did the best. Then now she came to the Olympics and she just did marvelously, excellently, beautiful well. And I can tell you, these things take personal determination and courage to get to where she got to, and I would say kudos to her. In fact, I think we should have rolled out the drums at the airport and welcomed the basketball team. Yes.
I'm glad that you said personal determination, because even though JJ said that when I asked that question that it was from a layman perspective, but I still feel like that is something that is solid. Yes. I mean, a lot of those girls, if not all of them, don't live in this country, so they don't play or train here. Yes. Could that have had anything to do with their performance?
Definitely. The training facilities we talk about, wherever they are, wherever they live, they have the best training facility. Murja, for example, used to play here. You know, he developed from local league here, then he got playing opportunity. Now she's even moved to France. She got, but you see, you could see that they developed the moment they moved. Palace, the Akroniye, the same thing. She developed here. She was a young girl when she was there, and she moved abroad. Those are the ones that that are in the team. And think one other lady, but most of the other ones, they were born abroad, grew up abroad. They are Nigerian. They dedicate their time and everything to that. But what we are talking about is the facility that are available to them and the coaching stuff that they have that make them to develop to this international stage like this, and you can they're as good as or better than Australia. I mean, look at the American game. If you gave them just 10 minutes, maybe they'll still
win the game.
They would have beaten the Americans, and that was this thing also are very psychological as well. I think Wakama has grown herself to who she is today, and if you follow her history down the line, she has always wanted to play for Nigeria. I
think she played at some point. I think in 2015.
Yeah, something like that. But then she now came back, joined First Bank, and all that. Just wanted to have a taste of what Nigerian basketball is and all that. And now she has gotten it on the bigger stage. And I would say she's done so really well.
Yeah, I do applaud her as well. But I want to speak to the lack of intentionality in preparation. I know we've talked about preparation before, but this lack of being intentional, is it a question, I'm going to be asking you that, Mr. Tony, is it a question of the athletes now or the government or the body that's supposed to be preparing them? Because like I said before, everyone is speaking about Rena. Oh, Rena did this, Rena was good. We're mentioning Amy Okonkwo, all the basketballers. We're talking about those who at least made an effort. That didn't come from the government, but they were intentional, in my opinion, about making a name, not just for the country, but for themselves as well. So that's why I asked earlier if it's the lack of intentionality. Is it a question of the athletes now or the government? Because I want to be mentioned that I have a gold medal. So if the government is not doing anything about it, why am I not intentional about doing something about it? Do you want to speak to that, Tony?
Yeah, as a former athlete, I've represented Lagos State all my life, in gymnastics. So I was there from 91 to, the last sport festival, Ogun 2006. I was at Bauchi 2000. I was at Edo 2002. And what I see from the ministry side of it is actually lack of carry out that, that legacy and that drive that has been in sports.
That's the ministry now.
Yes, the ministry. I'm talking about the ministry. I'm not talking about the ministry is the foundation of sports. Now,
but the ministry is the government.
When you're going to represent your country, you're going all out there. It is war. It is do or die. If you want to know this thing, if you look at the top-notch country in the world, governing the economy of the world, are the same people. The top 10 are the same people that won in sports. Okay, our federal government or our Ministry of Sports, what are you doing?
Okay.
The director of sports, what are you? We have the new one now. I think that one was also an athlete. Mr. Olumide that just came in, and he will be going out next year, retiring. So who will take over Olumide? If you look down the line, who are the sport people that are remaining in the sports
so there's a lack of sports administrators.
Of course there's lack of sport administrator. And if you want to talk about it, he talked about the facilities. Have you gone to the stadium where you're preparing athletes to go represent the country, and then they tell you they're having a church program inside the hall for 1 week? Or they tell you they're having a program of entertainment for 1 week. You cannot use the facility. And then you're going to represent your own country. And then the stadium manager tells you they've paid for it. By so doing, you must wait until they finish using the facilities before you can train a Nigeria athletes to go and represent Nigeria all over the world. Let me tell you, I have an example to tell you. We went to Singapore. We just came back from Singapore. I think it's a month now. We are trying to develop athletes. My athletes are between the ages of 8 to 14. And we're preparing them for the Olympics, right? And now, these athletes are very good. We have one of the athletes, Stephanie Onosoroka. She is the African champion in gymnastics. She became the African champion when she was 8 years old. Now, Stephanie is 14. Sunday Dare discovered this girl when she was 8. What did Sunday Dare do for this girl? Till now, she's 14. Stephanie is eligible to compete at this Olympic that just passed. She wasn't invited. Gymnastics did not submit team list. And you tell me you have sport administrator. Now the same minister.
Who does the selection?
From 8 years old. Even the basketballers, they were undermined. They were going to be dropped. They almost dropped them. They almost dropped the basketballers from going to this tournament. I was at Paris. I was there. I saw everything. I just came back 2 days back.
Okay.
So now I'm talking about the development of athletes now. So it's Stephanie that you discover when she was 8 years old, and she's been going for other competitions, and you cannot take care of her. Do you think we don't win at the Olympic?
So
that one is one.
So
No,
come back.
No, we're talking about the development of sports
in
Nigeria. We're talking about the sport ministers. All blame is going to the sport minister. The sport minister is barely 1 year in office. Do you know that? So now it takes 4 or 5 years for you to prepare for the next Olympic, because you're not going to the Olympic for a joke. You have somebody like the likes of Simone Biles at the Olympic, and you're preparing for 2 weeks to go and beat Simone Biles that trains 30 hours in a week, 30 hours plus. And then she has all of the equipment. Church or mosque program will not stop her from not training. And then she has all of the psychological support. And then she's not emotionally drained out.
Financial support too.
Of course, they even generated revenues.
So what I'm hearing that you're saying, Mr. Tony, is the intentionality has to come from the government first. When we're very intentional about growing sports.
Okay,
Hold on. We're very intentional about growing sports in our country. We would consciously provide what these athletes need, which will boost their morale to participate.
Let me come out there. The Minister of Sport, John Owana Eno, Honorable Minister, actually provided everything.
No, you are talking.
Hold on, for the Olympics.
Sorry, Tony, hold on. Let me stop you right there. You are talking about a minister who is barely a year old.
Sure.
The Olympics, preparation for the Olympics started from the last Olympics, which was 2020. So that's what we're talking about.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. Now, it's not about a minister, right?
Exactly.
It's about a structure.
Yes, because there's a lay-down structure.
So what
he just falls into
there's a department of athletes
development,
which controls all athletes and almost all the federations. And don't also forget, it's not about the ministry. Every federation is constituted with an election. And they are
autonomous.
And they exist, whether the minister is changed or not.
Should I just tell you something?
What I'm talking about.
Let me finish that structure. Now, they already have these structures of athletes and athletics department, right, which controls the athletes and the federation.
Exactly.
The federation itself, the federation are supposed to be autonomous in all areas.
They own their president, they have their technical director, they have the secretary.
They go to look for their money.
They have the sponsors.
Now, because most of them are lazy and sitting down, they rely on the ministry to always
That's the word lazy.
Money.
That's the word lazy.
I don't want to call it lazy.
Yeah.
You understand? It's maybe a little bit.
But you said we shouldn't be political.
I do understand. We're not trying to blame the minister for anything.
No, we're not blaming the minister.
We're trying to get the root causes.
It is
because
the structure.
in my opinion, the preparation for that 2028 Olympics has already started.
Sure.
So it is having conversations like this and pointing out where these loopholes are. We're able to close the
Okay, so the reason I brought in the federations are going to be dissolved any moment from now.
From now, yeah.
Now there's going to be election into the federations.
Yeah, for the next year.
Now that's where the minister comes in. Because the minister is the one that, through the department that they have, conduct this election. The elections are not conducted by the ministry for the federations. No, the federations get together and conduct their decision. But
Now,
what happens is that the minister also has influence on who becomes the president or the chairman
Of the federation.
Okay.
And that's where we need good administrators to come in.
To
now,
govern
I
the sport,
attended
yeah.
one event the other time. I got to find out that cricket is not a very well-known sport.
But they are
in
doing well.
Nigeria. But cricket are doing
They're doing
fantastic
very well now.
The guy goes
Very,
out,
very well.
gets sponsors, does this, does that.
In fact, there's a competition going on right
So
now
it's
with
even,
cricket.
It's not even, we don't even hear about it. And I'm going to talk about that. But before because I was also going to talk about why we have the concentration on some particular kind of sports, which are not even bringing us the spotlight that we want.
Exactly.
But before we get to talk about that, let's take this feature. We'll be taking a feature on how our track and field did before we now have that conversation. We'll be right back.
The Medley Show. The Medley Show.
Celebrating, Nigerian fans and athletes are left with long faces and a sense of disappointment. At just 18 years old, he shows great promise for the 2028 Olympics, where he will be more experienced and matured. Moving to the field events, Nigeria's performance was also challenging in the women's long jump, discus throw, hammer throw, men's shot put, javelin, and women's high jump. Only 4 athletes from 2 sports made it to the final round. Chukwuebuka Enekwechi finished 6th in the shot put with a throw of 21.42 meters. In the women's long jump, Priscilla Ochonogo, Ruth Usoro, and Esebrume finished 12th, 10th, and 5th respectively, with Esebrume achieving the furthest jump at 6.24 meters.
The Medley Show. The Medley Show.
Thank you so much. I mean, we would have been expecting so much from track and field, but then again, we were very disappointed. And of course, I still have Kingsley and Tony in the studio. One person who broke my heart the most was Favour Ofili. I mean, she even cried apologizing to Nigerians. She came in 6th. And just like her, there were so many other people who we were looking to at least get to the finals or bring home medals, but that didn't happen. Why do you think that is?
Pressure, some little pressure here and there. For example, she came to the limelight, not limelight, she came to the news that she was supposed to be registered for the 100 meters.
Psychological
which
issues.
she's better at, and she was not registered.
Do we have psychologists in our team?
Not like
Like on our
okay.
on our
If you give them a chance.
Yes.
Yes, they do. Now,
Who are the
well,
psychologists?
they do. You can't tell me that the Nigerian team traveled without a psychologist.
Yeah.
Whether they are good enough or
not.
they traveled with a psychologist. But whether they even answered or tried to treat her nicely, after she reported that she was not registered for the
100 meter dash.
Nobody
Yeah.
knows that. But I can tell you we had psychologists.
Psychologists
Okay,
on
so
team.
now look at it. She came, I was not registered for this. Then everybody started giving excuse why she was not registered. Till today, who goes in for it? Is it the NOC? Is it the Athletics Federation? Somebody must answer to something. Now, she competed in the 200. She got to the finals. I mean, she's in all the hula baloo. She still tried and got to the finals. I mean, there should be some commendation.
Yeah.
Right, So, and now I should have thought that she should be invited and consoled and spoken to and pampered in such a way, and so that she will feel
So
Nigeria.
even boost her morale for the next
Exactly,
Olympics.
because we have seen a lot of athletes like that switch
Countries.
yes, Obekweli that now switched to Spain, Portugal,
And she won.
Do you understand? So those are so many of
I
these
even
things.
saw jokes on X where they say so many of the participants at the Olympics were like, it was like those nations was like Nigeria and diaspora. But I want to ask a question, right? Before we went on the break, you did talk about cricket.
Yes.
And I was a bit worried about the fact that it's not as loud as it should be. So that brings me to my next question. It seems like Nigeria just concentrates on some games, and every year we go for the same games. Maybe add one or two, like we added cycling and swimming and all that, add one or two, we still don't do well in there. But the Olympics is replete with lots of. I mean, when I was watching, there is break dancing. We dance a lot in this country. What's going on?
Somebody won gold for that.
Okay. Yeah, someone won gold from Canada. I mean, we have. I was listening to something we're talking about. We participated in swimming, of course, but for a very long time, it seemed like it was just Europe and US that used to dominate the swimming game until China came out of nowhere and they won that.
So how did they get there?
They had 8 years of training, I read. They had 8 years of training.
They went and developed themselves in that because they had a lot of gold on the swimming competition. Now, this competition that I'm talking about, we talk about basketball. Basketball just had two medals, 2 gold, right? But in swimming, they have a whole lot of gold. In wrestling.
We play chess a lot in this country.
Okay.
There are so many things we do
and
that
all of them have federations.
Yes, that we could be part of at the Olympics, which could bring us gold. But why do we always look at football, basketball, and it looks like the other games are irrelevant?
Okay, should I tell you something?
Yeah, I want
Number
to hear
one, in gymnastics alone, you have over 46 gold medals in gymnastics. So the U.S. team in gymnastics took about 11 gold medals, one team.
But we keep chasing.
And then we have in one event.
Yeah, I know all this. What I want to know now is why.
I'm coming up. That's where I'm actually going to. We have Rebecca. She beat Simone Biles to her best apparatus. That's the floor exercise. Rebecca took the gold medal on floor. You can't beat Simone Biles on floor. She's 15,600, and Rebecca beat her to again. Now you have to study where you're going to. You have to study the code of points. You have to be ready and be very consistent in what you're doing. Like, if I had gone with, I'm not saying I'm the best, but if I had gone to this Olympics with the athletes we have in Nigeria, at least I would have picked 2 gold medals. But why? It is because we have our stronghold. We have an Eno that is doing a triple twist on the vault.
Yeah, that has not answered my question.
It wasn't. Yeah, what's the question?
My question is, why do we concentrate on the same games every year?
But that's where I'm going to.
Many.
So
that's actually where I'm going to.
All these games, all these chairs, they all have federation.
Right.
It is driving force of the federation president that brings you out. That's why I mentioned cricket.
Oh, okay.
The person in charge of cricket right now, number 1, he's serious-minded. Number 2, he's business-minded.
So which falls back to the administrators you're talking about.
Uche Eke was by athletes. He went to the Olympic last year. That was the first gymnast we've ever had represented Nigeria since 1975. Uche Eke broke that gene about 45 years ago.
Okay.
Now, we have a Stephanie. We have a Chinel Opanko. We have Dida David. We have Eno in Edo State. Tell me, the federation did not register any of these athletes to represent Nigeria at the Olympics. Meanwhile, this same athlete has been going out and winning for the country on their own, just like Toby Amoson and the rest. Now, let's go back to the grassroots. Falila Tugukoya. What's the name? The former minister's aide. Choma Ajua, them, all of them. Remember St. Fimbas, when you have the Bucha, the Poju, and then the headmaster, and then the what they do, you have PE teachers in schools.
Yes.
But now our PE teachers are politicians. Now you have the young student, the Nigerians that are supposed to be doing us proud. They are all out there on social media and telling people to gift them. Whereas they have
God, no, you didn't go there.
Yeah, you have a Falilat Ugukoya among these girls, but because they've not seen future. Hold on, we must get there.
No,
because it is what is trending in Nigeria. That's what people go for. And let me tell you the truth. They tell you, what are you going to do? I know how many people have asked me to leave Nigeria. Okay. I know how many people. I'm a certified coach. I'm a licensed coach in the world. I'm an Olympic coach.
Okay.
But do you know about it? I have athletes that can represent Nigeria, but my federation wouldn't allow me to do so.
Okay. So I'm going to cut you short, Tony,
so
because
the way forward, we've said something, but the way forward, just like the Honorable Minister have said, we are going back to the grassroots. And from the grassroots, we're able to purify our ways to the competitive level, like from grassroots to competitive level at this time. They will manage the athletes we have at the top. I think that's going to do a whole lot of justice. But not the minister's fault that we did not get better.
No, nobody's blaming the minister. Nobody's blaming
and then we have to celebrate Samson Siasia if we would talk about that, because we got the golden bronze from Samson Siasia. The golden bronze, and today his ban is just being lifted. How come we wouldn't talk about him?
Mr. Tony,
Tony,
I'm going to cut it short. My time is fast spent. Time is not even enough to talk about. But what I'm getting from all we're saying is that there are a lot of issues. There's so many issues, and if we do not tackle those issues, the next 4 years would even be worse than what we have.
Give me like a minute, let me talk
30
about something.
seconds.
30 seconds.
Yes.
We must remove sports from just I just love sport. To sport is about friendliness. It brings people together. Sport can bring this country together.
Yeah.
From north, south. I was in ABU when we hosted Nuga in 2002, thereabout. The whole Nigeria came to ABU. They loved it. Nobody talked about how
sports is business,
Christian, and all that. That's number one. So sports bring people together. Number two, sports is entrepreneurship.
Yes, so
the minister, I don't know if he's listening, we must look at the entrepreneurship part of sport.
And that's your 30 seconds.
In US alone.
No, that's his 30 seconds. Tony, Tony, we can't take it anymore. Maybe we'll have to do a part 2 so that you have the time to express yourself even more. But now time is fast spent and we have to go. So thank you so much, Tony Asuko, and thank you so much, Kingsley Agbonuga. And like they all said, we need to tackle these issues if we need to get any gold medal in the next 4 years at the LA Olympics. And with that, we'll come to the end of today's edition of the Medley Show. I hope you had fun, even though we didn't, throw punches, but I'm sure you had fun with the conversation. Until I come your way again with another interesting edition of the Medley Show next week, you take care. My name is Tochi. Bye for now.